Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with Dion from Dion Talk and Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord. And guys, I don't know if you heard this, Matt and Dion, but apparently the likelihood of a crash has gone through the roof. I've been told no less than 50 times I'm an idiot in the last 24 hours because I've been saying real estate slowdown, not a crash. So guys, has something changed in the last 24 hours that I don't know about that makes a crash like very, very likely?
I listed all of my properties.
You listed all your properties.
Everyone. Listed them all. Yep. Because that 99.6% rental pay rate during all of the pandemic just wasn't good enough for me. I want that extra 0.4. I want that 0.4. I won't rest until I have the 0.4. I won't rest until I have the 0.4. It's just stupid. It's just more stupid. Listen, we all had the knee-jerk reaction because it's the business that we're in. And we're like, hey, guess what? On an extremely grand scale, we've been lied to again.
Yes.
The Supreme Court was completely ignored, which blows my mind.
Blows my mind. And the only thing that I can think of is, and when it happened, Mike, I sent you a text and I said, I think I'm smarter than a lot of guys in his cabinet. Because I've actually lived life and I don't live my life I'm not a career politician where I care what people really think of me, if you can tell. And I'm sitting there going through it and I'm like, you know what, this is the perfect maybe next step for him to say, yeah, see, the Supreme Court struck it down. And so clearly they don't care about anyone other than, rich landlords. And so now we're going to pack the court. So we're not a political channel. We don't talk about political things, but I think could be attacked on their side. But again, it's clearly attack that takes complete disregard for 48 million units worth of landlords that are small mom and pops, because that's the only one that this really hurts. Yeah. So Dean, on your side, have you listed all your properties too because a crash is imminent?
Well, like I said, I think it's the best time to list it all and just buy a bunch of Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, of course. Why not?
But not today.
Not today. Not today.
So most investors have the mindset of, I hope there's a crash. I hope there's a correction so I could buy things on sale. Mm-hmm. So I want everybody watching this to think. And as much as I love your channel, Mike, we're 20,000 people. You're coming up on 21,000 subscribers. There are a few more people than that in the United States. As investors, do we know anybody selling all of their properties who can't wait to divest from this asset class? But how many of us know and have viewers who are waiting for the crash and waiting for the correction? So instead of being in that group of people who want the confirmation bias to happen of, yes, there will be a crash, so all I got to do is wait, I'm going to be doing the work every day, finding the next deal, making the offer, getting the next cash flowing asset, not missing out on cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down, and all the things that are going to happen between now and the years between us and a crash.
Yeah, again, I'll say it very clearly here. Nothing changed in the last 48 hours that makes me think a crash is occurring. I think you both asked me in different ways over the last month, what were the likelihood of a crash? And I said both times 0. You ask me today what the likelihood of a crash is, the same answer is there, 0. And the reason I can say that is I've been studying supply and demand for decades. Yes, we had an unfortunate event occur. It is annoying. It is unconstitutional. It is lots of things. But does it impact supply and demand? Let's talk about it. Does it impact demand at all? No. I mean,
cash, probably not for a cash producing asset with a good return.
Yeah, the only person that I think could be impacted by demand is the person who has 0 and is following all these other channels and wouldn't have bought anyway. Wall Street's still buying. All 3 of us are still buying. All of us are collecting north of 98% of rent. Most landlords are. There are some hurting, but demand is not changed one iota in this, in my opinion. Do you guys see it any other way? How about you, Dion?
So there are a couple of things that these YouTube content creators are getting a little bit wrong. It gets clicks to say eviction moratorium extended, it's the end of the world. But it's not extended. It's extended in counties that have a high COVID infection rate. It's extended for tenants who can now have to prove financial impact from COVID, which before that wasn't a thing. And
Income
I'm just
level.
frustrated because so many people keep making content saying this is the reason for the crash when this is almost a non-event.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's annoying, right? Because I have some tenants that, or not, I shouldn't say some, people will hear that wrong. A couple of tenants who have been playing games that likely will play games a couple of months. The other thing that people need to realize, and Matt is the perfect example of this, is landlords are starting to receive benefits, right? Landlords are starting to get money. They've done 3 billion of the 46 billion has now been dispersed. Matt, are you still there?
Yeah, still here. Yep.
Yeah. So what I was saying, Matt, is you actually received some money, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, it took me from like 97%, 98% collected. So right around that 98 took me to 99.6.
Yeah.
You know, so the 0.4 was, quite frankly, we denied the support because we wanted to get rid of the tenant, because they actually, for our state, they actually paid an additional 3 months on top of what they owed. And now, Mike, it's just like I told you, which is, it seems like a little stinky because that was July, August, and September. And coincidentally,
Look at that.
it's going to end October 3rd.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So yeah, so it's not going to impact demand. And what about supply? Right?
A little bit.
It's going to, exactly. There are going to be some landlords that are, typically speaking, later in their investing career. They were probably thinking about selling anyway. They're now staring at this extra 2 months government intervention and tax changes. Let's not forget that taxes are going up. So I expect there will be some small units, and I'm already seeing it. I've already seen a dozen, maybe 10. I think it's 2 landlords. I think I know both these individuals. Some people are listing, but again, it's 10 out of an MLS of 1,100. So it's not even 1%. But yeah, I think there'll be a few people that list, but it'll be nothing compared to the strong demand that is there. How about you guys? How about you first, Dion?
Well, the third thing that I was trying to remember before when my memory walked out of the room was the big change now is there are programs where the landlord can apply for the rent relief, where a few months ago, I received a check out of nowhere for 2 months in the future for a tenant because they had applied. But landlords weren't able to go and apply because there were tenants working, making more money than they were before COVID. So that tenant couldn't apply for rent relief, but they were just not paying.
Oh yeah.
And couldn't be evicted.
That
so
was
the
my
landlord
tenant.
would be screwed. Currently, now the landlord can walk in and say, I'm not receiving rents. And it was what, $45 billion set aside for rent relief. And they've tapped into 3 billion of it so far. So the money is sitting there and mismanaged by states, but the program changed and is a little easier for landlords now.
Yeah, this is going to be a non-event. The crash is not coming. I'm sorry to disappoint you. And the reality of a lot of people that, because again, 50 people, 50 reached out and basically told me I'm wrong and an idiot, see it's coming. Most of these people just want to see someone else injured is what I think's happening.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And there's some smart theorem to it, but the higher a person is, the more people want to see them fall.
Ah,
And when you've reached financial freedom, you're pretty far up the mountain.
yeah.
You are a percent of the percent. And you guys, what I'll do is I'll actually send you my new script. It's to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt in those portfolios you're trying to buy.
I like it. Yeah, no.
Where I'm just like, hey, if going to 39.7% capital gains bothers you, you should call me back. If you're worried about the eviction moratorium because people still aren't paying you, you should call me back. If you are within 5 years of retirement, and you're just finally done with it, you should call me back. I literally just got a deal because the people said, yeah, we can rehab the whole thing and the units will be in demand. But quite frankly, it's only going to give us about a 10. It's only going to give us about a 10% return. I'm like,
All day long.
where do I sign?
I'm done.
I'll do it cheaper and I'll buy it. Done. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I see it's an annoyance, but it's not a crash. Sorry, no crash. No crash. So Matt, how can people follow you and be part of your world?
And even if it's an adjustment in values, who cares?
Yeah.
So even if it's an adjustment, who cares? It's dollars. It doesn't have to do one rental at a time. That's where you can find me.
There you go. And Dion?
Rental at a time course, and I've got videos in there, and I've got all my contact info in each one of those videos.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.